The timing of these babies is so important. Get bad timing and you'll get trouble. It affects everything that engine does. There are different things on an EMD that need to be timed, and we're going to take a look at them. The first is locating top dead center and setting the flywheel pointer according to that finding. Next is checking the exhaust valve timing and then timing the injector. Along with this, you'll need to set the injector racks. Last, we'll see how to set the hydraulic lash adjusters. You're probably asking, well, how does all this fit together? When do I do these? What says I need to do one before the other? Good questions. Anytime you replace a power pack, you need to time the injector, set the injector rack, and the hydraulic lash adjusters. That goes for any time you tear down the spaghetti on top of your pack, like if you removed a head. The exhaust valve timing is done anytime you put in a new gear train or if you have any question about the operation of your camshaft. That also goes for if you replace the camshaft. Top dead center, which we'll call TDC, is found with the flywheel pointer and is only done when you build up an engine from scratch, or if a new gear train is going in, or if you pull the flywheel or break the pointer, or if the pointer just turns up loose. Here's how it goes. Take off the airbox handhold cover on the number 1 cylinder. The piston should be positioned so that it's at the bottom of the liner ports. Get a brass bar at least a ½ inch thick. A hexagonal or a square shape is preferred so it doesn't move around. Stick the bar in through one of the ports and all the way through the porthole on the other side. The bar should be long enough to extend outside the engine. This will keep anybody from sticking the handhold cover back on and forgetting that the bar is in the engine. If your bar is too short, you can weld an extension onto it. When that's done, bar the engine in the direction of rotation until the piston is stopped by the bar at the top of the port. Check the flywheel and mark where the pointer is positioned on the flywheel. Now you can bar the engine opposite the direction of rotation until the piston is again stopped by the bar at the top of the ports. Mark the flywheel again.
We got a reading of 213 and 1/2 in one direction, and we got a reading of 137 and 1/2 in the other direction. It gives us a difference of 76 degrees. We divide this by 2, we get 38 degrees. We take the 137 and 1/2, we add the 38 degrees to that, and we want to roll back now to 175 and 1/2 degrees on the pointer. We'll know then that we are on bottom dead center, and we have got to correct our pointer to make it read properly.
Bar the engine in the direction of rotation. The pointer should now read 180 degrees. If it doesn't, position the pointer so that it does read 180 degrees. Now, when the flywheel is at 0 degrees, the number 1 piston will be at top dead center. Let's go through this one more time real quick. Bar through the ports, bar the engine in the direction of rotation until the piston stops, mark the flywheel, bar the engine back the other direction until the piston stops again, mark the flywheel. Then bar it over in the normal direction of rotation, half the distance between the two marks, and you should have 180 degrees on the pointer. With that done, let's talk about exhaust valve timing. Remember, this is done to determine if the camshaft gear train timing is correct, or if there is excessive wear on the gears or idler gear bushings. Checking the exhaust valve timing can also determine correct installation of a camshaft segment. Here's how to check. Place a dial indicator over the rocker arm. There are different ways to do it, like this, or like in section 7 of your manual. When you get it over the rocker arm screw, be sure the rocker arm end is at its highest point. This closes the exhaust valves. Press the indicator down about 10/100ths of an inch and set the dial to 0. Turn the engine in the direction of rotation until the flywheel reads 106 degrees after TDC of the cylinder that's being checked. If the timing on that cylinder is correct, the dial will have moved down 14/1000ths of an inch. The timing must be between 104 degrees and 110 degrees after top dead center of the cylinder being checked. For instance, on a 20 cylinder, the number 8 cylinder's TDC is 36 degrees. Adding 36 degrees to 104 degrees up to 110 degrees, you should get from 140 to 146 degrees. So, number 8 should be between 140 degrees and 146 degrees. To make sure the fuel is getting to the cylinder at the right moment, the injector must be timed. First in doing this is to make sure the overspeed trip has not been activated. If it has, reset it and then bar the engine around one complete turn and continue past that until you reach exact TDC for that cylinder if it's a turbocharged engine, or 4 degrees before TDC for a roots blown or naturally aspirated engine. Get the injector timing tool from its box and insert it into the hole in the top of the injector body. Now, loosen the adjusting screw lock nut. With a screwdriver, turn the adjust screw until the shoulder of the gauge just passes over the injector follower guide. When you've got it, hold that position with the screwdriver and tighten down the lock nut. Recheck the setting. Pretty simple. Now let's get to the injector racks. These gizmos, along with the governor, control how much fuel goes through the injector into the cylinder. If you pull the head or the whole power pack, or if you change out the injector or the governor, then you'll have to set the injector racks. You should first get your gauge and make a rough setting, getting the rack as close as you can to tolerance on the gauge. After that, run the engine up to around operating temperature, and then shut her down to reset the rack. So, to set them, our first move is on the governor. If your EMD has an EGB10 governor, adjust the setting to the 1-inch mark. For engines with UG8 governors, turn the load limit knob to the maximum load position. Then, adjust the setting jack until the terminal shaft is in full fuel position. Now, get the rack gauge without adapter for EGB10s and with it for UG8s. If your rack gauge doesn't have a red handle, get another one, because there are some old models around that just won't do the right job. Remember, yours should have a red plastic handle. Okay, place the gauge over the injector rack and hold it firmly against the face of the calibrating slide on the injector. Look at the gauge pointer. If it's at the short or S end of the scale, outside the setting range, the rack is not extending out far enough. So loosen the lock nut on the adjusting link and turn the nut until the pointer goes all the way to the L, or long end of the scale. Then reverse it to come back within the setting range. The reason you do this is to take up the backlash. If the pointer is at the long end of the scale, adjust the link until it's within tolerance on the rack scale, hold the adjust nut with a wrench, and tighten the lock nut. Check all your settings a second time to be sure nothing moved when you tightened up or when you removed the gauge. In case you have some doubts about the gauge, you can check it by inserting this master block into the gauge body. Doing this, the pointer should line up with the center mark on the scale. All right, if you're through, be sure to remove the governor jack. Our last job is on the hydraulic lash adjusters. Anytime a new power pack or a new head goes in, you have to set the hydraulic lash to get proper exhaust valve operation. If they're not set right, or if they're defective, it could cause increased stress to the valve and lead to valve failure and engine damage. How to do it is pretty simple. Let's go through it. Manually bar the engine over to near or at top dead center for the cylinder you're working on. Loosen the rocker arm adjust screw lock nuts over both valve bridges. Turn the rocker arm adjusting screw down until the last valve just touches the hydraulic lash adjuster plunger. Or if you want, you can use a 1/1000th of an inch shim between the valve tip and the plunger, and then turn the screw down 1.5 turns. Now check the valve bridge assembly for looseness. It has a spherical seat that goes inside the head. It should be snug and not slop at all. If it is loose, tighten the rocker arm adjusting screw down until there's no movement, and then go another 1/4 turn. Now tighten the lock nut while you hold the screw with a screwdriver. Run her for 2 or 3 minutes and check the clearance between the lash adjuster bodies and the ends of the valve stems with the piston near TDC. Use the special little gauge for measuring this. If you can't run your engine for some reason, you can squeeze the oil out of the lash adjuster by forcing down the rocker arm. After this, the clearance should be a 1/16th of an inch between the valve tip and the lash adjuster body. If it's less than that, the head should be removed for reconditioning or rejection. That's it for timing your EMD. We hope this show and your manual give you all the help you need in doing a good job.